Hello children, how are you all? Doing good? I'm sure you are, because indeed you are reading a lot of stories, understanding them, enjoying the message also, isn't it? Yes, today I am with another interesting story, a golden bowl with a very profound message. बच्चों, हम सबके पास बहुत सी चीज़ें हैं जिन्हें हम वैल्यू करते हैं और कई बार नहीं करते हैं, लेकिन संतुष्टि ही असली खुशी देता है ना। हमारे पास जो चीज़ें हैं हम उन्हें वैल्यू करें, अगर हम और लालच करेंगे तो उसका तो कोई अंत ही नहीं है। तो आइए ऐसी ही कहानी पढ़ें जो हमें बताता है अगर हम ज़्यादा लालच करें तो उसके क्या परिणाम हो सकते हैं। So let's read A Golden Bowl. The story tells us about the evil consequences of greed. We should be content with what we have. We should never try to obtain anything by false means. Honesty is the best policy and we must stick to it. Let's find out in this story. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Seri, the Bodhisattva who bought and sold pots and pans was called Serivan. In the company of another seller of pots and pans, a greedy fellow, he crossed the river Telivastra and entered the city of Antapura. Dividing the streets between the two of them, they set about selling their pots and pans, each in the streets of his own district. तो बच्चों, ये कहानी है सेरिवन की जो मिट्टी के बर्तन बेचता था. Now in the city there lived a poor family which had once been rich. There were only two people in the family now, a young girl and her grandmother who worked for their living. Lying among old pots and pans in their house was a golden bowl which, having been long out of use, looked so dirty that the two women did not know that it was made of gold. The greedy seller went past their door crying, "Exchange your old pots for new." अब वो सिटी में गए जहाँ पर एक फैमिली जो एक ज़माने में बहुत अमीर थी रहती थी, लेकिन अब वो काफ़ी गरीब थे. अब उस फैमिली में सिर्फ एक लड़की और उसकी दादी, उसकी ग्रैंडमदर रह गई थी. उनके पास पॉट्स थे लेकिन उनमें से एक गोल्ड बोल था. अब वो इतना पुराना हो गया था कि लगा ही नहीं कि ये तो सोने का बना है, मैला कुचैला पुराना सा. तो ये ग्रीडी सेलर उनके घर के बाहर से गुजरा और बोला कि कोई है ऐसे पुराने बर्तन जो एक्सचेंज करने हैं, जो बदलने हैं, इसके बदले में नए ले लो. When the young girl heard his cry, she said to her grandmother, "Do let's buy a new plate, grandmother. There's a man who's selling pots." "We are very poor, child. What we have to offer in exchange?" the old woman said. "Why, there is this dirty bowl which we never use. Let us exchange the bowl for a plate." तो दादी ने कहा, हमारे पास कुछ तो है नहीं देने के लिए, एक्सचेंज किससे करें. चलो एक ये पुराना सा एक बोल है, गंदा सा पड़ा हुआ है, जो हम कभी यूज़ भी नहीं करते, इस्तेमाल भी नहीं करते हैं. The girl said both the old woman and the girl were keen to get rid of the bowl. यानी उस पुराने बर्तन से हम पीछा छुड़ाते हैं. So keen means when you are really eager to do something. So the old woman called the seller in and giving him the bowl said, "Take this bowl, young man, and give my granddaughter a plate in exchange." The seller took the bowl in his hands and, suspecting it was gold, scratched a line on the bottom with a needle. अब उसे लगा कि ये तो सोने का लग रहा है, तो उसने स्क्रैच किया यानी खरोंचा. स्क्रैच्ड अ लाइन किससे? एक नीडल से, एक सुई से उसने उसे खरोंचा. He knew his suspicion was right. The bowl was made of pure gold. Thinking that he would get the bowl for nothing, he pretended that it was useless and scornfully threw it on the ground, rose from his seat and went out of the house. अब उसने थोड़ा नाटक किया, उसने जान लिया कि ये सोने का है, तो उसने प्रिटेंड किया, नाटक किया कि ये तो बेकार है, और थोड़ी हेट के साथ उसे जस्ट फेंक दिया ज़मीन पर और अपनी जगह से खड़ा हुआ और चला गया. The young girl was very sad at the seller's rudeness, and the old woman could not understand why. Why he had become so annoyed, or why he had behaved in such an insulting manner. So annoyed means angry, गुस्सा होना. The next day, as it had already been agreed between the two sellers, each of them went to sell his pots and pans in the district in which the other had been on the day before. Servian came to the same street and passed the same house, crying, "Exchange your old pots for new." Once again the young girl urged her grandmother to get her a new plate. The old woman said, "Dear child, don't you remember how disappointing it was to have the seller here yesterday? Don't you remember how he threw the bowl on the ground in disgust? We'll only regret calling this new seller." तो दादी ने कहा, तुम्हें याद नहीं कल क्या हुआ, कैसे वो बर्तन खरीदने वाले ने हमारा बोल बुरी तरह फेंक दिया, तो वही होगा दोबारा. That seller was rude, but this one looks gentle. It is likely that he'll take the bowl, the girl said. तो गर्ल ने बोला, ये तो ठीक लग रहा है, थोड़ा जेंटल लग रहा है, इतना रूड नहीं लग रहा है, क्या पता बात बन जाए. Seeing for granddaughter's eagerness, the old woman called Servian in. So he came into the house and they put the bowl in his hands. He was surprised to see that it was made of gold. "Do you really want to exchange this, old mother?" he asked with hesitation. क्योंकि उसे दिख गया था कि ये गोल्ड का है और एक बूढ़ी औरत एक गोल्ड का बर्तन बेच रही थी, तो उसने झिझक के साथ ही पूछा. Encouraged by this, the young girl asked, "Will you exchange it for a plate?" "Old mother, your bowl is made of pure gold and is worth a lot of money. I haven't so much money on me." तो सर्वियन ने सच बता दिया कि तुम्हारा बोल तो सोने का बना है. Both the women were astonished to hear this. The old woman said, "My son, a seller who came yesterday, said the bowl was worthless and threw it on the ground. It must be your touch which had turned it into gold. Take it. Give us anything you please in exchange and go your way." तो जो दादी माँ थी वो इतनी हैरान हुई और इतनी खुश हुई कि उन्होंने बोला, कल जो सेलर आया था उसने तो उसे बेकार बोलकर बहुत ही रूडली ज़मीन पर पटक दिया था. ये तुम्हारा ही स्पेशल टच होगा जिसकी वजह से हमारा ऑर्डिनरी सा बोल, साधारण सा बोल सोने का बन गया है. ऐसा करो, तुम ये बोल रख लो और जो भी तुम्हें ठीक लगे उसे एक्सचेंज में मुझे दे दो और तुम अपने रास्ते चलो. He gave them all the pots he had and 500 silver coins which he had with him at the time. He kept only his scales, his bag and 8 silver coins to pay the boatman to take him across the river. Taking the bowl with him, he went to the riverside, got into the boat and gave the 8 coins to the boatman to row him across. तो उसने काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें उन दादी माँ को दे दी, अपने सारे पॉट्स और 500 सिल्वर के कॉइन्स और अपने लिए सिर्फ 8 सिक्के रखे जो उसे नाव वाले को देने थे. No sooner had he left the two women, the greedy seller came to them again and said impatiently, "Bring out the bowl, I'll give you something or other for it." Moved to anger at his pretense, the old woman said, "You said that the bowl was worth nothing. Today we had an honest seller here who declared the bowl was made of gold and gave us 500 silver coins and all his pots for it." तो दादी ने सारी बात बता दी कि तुम तो बेईमान थे, लेकिन एक ऑनेस्ट, एक सच्चा सेलर आया था उसने हमें हमारे पॉट की सही कीमत बताई और उसने हमें ये चीज़ें उसके बदले में दे दी. Regretting his loss, the greedy seller cried, "He has cheated me of the profit I would have made. I've lost the bowl." He was so full of sorrow and disappointment and so maddened that he lost command over himself. He beat his chest, threw away his money and goods, tore his clothes from his body, and shouted, "I'll have my revenge on the hateful man. Why did he interfere with my plan?" तो ये सारा प्लान तो उसके अपने दिमाग में था, सर्वियन ने तो कुछ नहीं किया. तो ये जो ग्रीडी सेलर था, इसने अपना दिमागी संतुलन खो दिया और कहने लगा कि मैं ये बदला लेकर रहूँगा. The two women were shocked to see his madness, but could do nothing to stop him. He rushed after Servian to the riverside. Finding him already crossing the river, he shouted desperately for the boatman to turn back. Servian told the boatman not to do so. Watching the boat helplessly, his heart full of jealousy and hatred, the seller shouted insults at the fearless Servian, who was the Bodhisattva. His threats were of no use, and with all the excitement, his heart burst and he dropped down dead. तो जो ग्रीडी सेलर था, उसके मन में सिर्फ जलन थी और नफरत थी किसी ऑनेस्ट इंसान के लिए. वो उस बोट के पीछे भागा, रोकने की कोशिश की, लेकिन तब तक सर्वियन दूसरी तरफ पहुंच चुका था. और जो ग्रीडी सेलर था, वो बेकार में चिल्लाता रहा, अपना आपा खो दिया और लास्ट में उसने अपनी जान दे दी. So children, this was the story of honesty, that honesty prevails no matter what, no matter other people who are full of hatred and jealousy, they are after you, but your honesty will prevail. I hope you enjoyed this story, you learned the message and you will apply it in your real life. Now it's time for you to practice the comprehension questions.